and welcome to Dabbling in Journals, and today I am sharing my little Commonplace book, and my MD notebook is kept in the Chic Sparrow folio from the Carroll collection in the March Hare colour, and I have my little Quaco pen in the macchiato colour and my charm with my initial. Really love this little book, it's really scuffing up nicely. Now last week I shared the pages that I'd done where I was exploring the topic, why be good, why should we do the right thing? And thank you so much to those of you that put comments at the end of the video. I really enjoyed reading them and responding to them. So thank you for that. Made it so interactive for me and interesting. So what I decided I would look at next is, having considered the question, why should we do the right thing? I thought, well, let's suppose that we want to do the right thing. How do we decide what the right thing really is? Most of us in our lives do end up having to tackle moral dilemmas of one kind or another, small ones, big ones, whatever. So I think it's an interesting question, and I don't know if I've ever really decided what I think the answer is. So I found some quotations that I found interesting. This first quotation is from Samuel Johnson, and he says, "Integrity without knowledge is weak and useless, and knowledge without integrity is dangerous and dreadful." And I think that's kind of true. Tell me what you think. I like that one. And then this one from Mark Twain said, "It is curious that physical courage should be so common in the world, but moral courage so rare." Do I agree with him? Is moral courage really rare in the world? And is physical courage that common? I don't know. I'd have to do a lot of research in order to decide whether or not I agreed with him. But I thought it was an interesting thought. And I should have mentioned that on this page I used this little pretty cutout I was gifted, some Tim Holtz washi tape, little scraps of paper and a ticket stamp, and I stamped on some flowers with the distress ink. Now this page, I've put my quotation in the middle, made a little frame for it, and this is the first kind of answer that a lot of people agree with, and it comes from, well, I suppose originally Jeremy Bentham, but I've picked out a quotation from John Stuart Mill where he says, "Actions are right in proportion as they tend to promote happiness, and wrong as they tend to produce the reverse of happiness." So when we're trying to decide what to do, we have to look at the potential consequences of the action and decide whether or not it promotes happiness for the majority of people, or whether it would cause suffering or the opposite of happiness for the majority of people. And that's how we decide what we do, looking at the consequences and weighing up what would be best in terms of what would maximise happiness. So that's one view, and it's a very popular one, and you can see it in society today, and you can see it in laws that are made and so on. Well, in our society, or my society, I don't know where all of you live, so you might not be living in the same kind of society as me. In addition to this idea of, well, we have to look at how to maximise happiness, this raises the question of whose happiness are we trying to maximise? And Jeremy Bentham says, "Why should the law refuse protection to any sensitive being? The time will come when humanity will extend its mantle over everything that breathes." He also says, "The question is not can they reason or can they talk, but can they suffer?" So on his view, when we're trying to maximise happiness, we are maximising the happiness of any creature that can suffer. So that will include, he says, anything that can breathe, doesn't he? But, anything that can feel pain and happiness, I suppose. So that's interesting, and there are lots of modern utilitarians. This view is called utilitarianism. There are lots of modern utilitarians that promote better treatment of animals. So I know that some of you will like that view. And then a different kind of view, and I've taken a quotation from Tim Oakley, but this view dates right back to Aristotle and has been gradually modernised, particularly in more recent years where it's become increasingly popular. And this answers the question, how do we know what is the right thing to do? By saying an action is right if and only if it is what a virtuous agent would perform in the circumstances. So we look at the dilemma and we think, What would be the courageous thing to do? What would be the kind thing to do? What would be the most sensitive thing to do? We look at ourselves. What kind of person are we? What kind of character will we be putting into practice depending on what action we choose to take? So that's a view called Virtue Ethics. And I really like my decoration on this page. It's my favourite one, I think, because it's kind of simple, and I've just put some little scraps of paper, a ticket, another ticket, a word sticker which says stay curious, and a little ribbon sticker. So we've had a view that looks at what's right by looking at the potential consequences and maximising happiness. We've had a look at a view here which says when you're trying to work out what the right thing to do is, think about what a virtuous person would do and do the same as them. And then this is a different kind of view, and this one comes from Immanuel Kant, this quotation, and he says an action to have moral worth must be done from duty. So not looking at the consequences, not looking at what kind of person you are, but what is it your duty to do? What rules should I always follow? So it might be a rule like do not steal, do not lie, do not murder people. What rules could we wish universally that everybody should follow? So we would use our reason to work out what the rules are according to Kant, and then we apply them. So that's a third kind of view which answers the question of what is the right thing to do. And on this page I've used this really pretty Tim Holtz washi tape. Really like the blue colours, and this washi tape was gifted to me, and I found some stickers in my stash from Sticky Club which are really pretty. I'm going to try and zoom in. I really like those stickers. And then this considers a fourth view. So we've had consequences, we've had character traits, we've had duties, and this quotation says, from the beginning of the Abrahamic faiths and of Greek philosophy, religion and morality have been closely intertwined. So many people decide what the right thing to do is by looking at advice from authorities such as God or a holy book or a priest or a preacher, or depending on what religion the person is, they use all the sort of authority of their religion to help them work out what is the right thing to do. So I'd be really interested to know which of these four views you think is most appealing, or whether you have a different way in which you work out what the right thing to do is, and put that in the comments for me. And to finish off, I've popped the trolley problem into my Commonplace book, and the trolley problem is attributed to somebody called Philippa Foot, and she asks us to think about this thought experiment. A runaway trolley is headed towards 5 people who will be killed in the collision, but it could be steered onto a track where there is only 1 person. Would you pull the lever and steer the trolley to the other track, killing 1 person, or would you leave the trolley, not do anything, and it would then go on to kill 5 people? So let me know in the comments, what would you do and why? What would you do in that kind of situation? So I hope you've enjoyed having a little look through the next question in my Commonplace book that I've been answering. I've been filling in my index. So I've looked at what is happiness, why do the right thing, and how do we decide what the right thing really is. And I am going to decide what I'm going to do for my next topic soon. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.